pick up for LNG.
Yep, it is indeed instantly scooped up there as they get out of the banning phase. Interesting to see Team WE staying on that red side, but again, the Corki, the Rakan, Talon, normal bans for LNG so far. Same bans as well as the Lee Sin on the other side. We do get the instant lock-in of the deadly duo we saw last game, but on the other side of the table, where it is the Aphelios Thresh for Team WE.
Now, the big question here is if you see the Jinx picked up here without any sort of peel support, maybe we just see a Jarvan come out here for view and he's like, cool, let's just try and launch ourselves on towards the Jinx. Also gives the opportunity for Aphelios to catch up to a lot of fights, which is kind of what he struggles with, but we'll see what the plan is. Maybe View does just go back towards the Viego, which he's kind of traditionally liked into this matchup because you can, when you get to the late game, you can trade reasonably effectively, and you still got like the big executes that you can set you up nicely.
They're gonna run it back on him, Dagda. They're gonna take their duo from last game and be like, yo, we'll show you how to execute this one. As Light and LvMao get the Jinx and Lulu combo. There's that Viego you were mentioning for View.
Yeah, I mean, look, WE, they're kind of opting into the opposite side of the matchup here with the Aphelios Thresh. I kind of would have gone for the Jinx Thresh, but I don't think it matters too much, right? Hyperscaler is still coming through. At least now you can have some engage coming through from Kedaya, and certainly the Aphelios can do a lot of work in these early stages as well if you're looking for early skirmishes. So I'm curious to see now if WE want to try and go that style. Banning away the TF here definitely feels like Shanks is probably going to go back towards one of those more lane-orientated champions that we've seen previous, or maybe just take the Ryze for himself, right? Good push and see if he can still move first for some of these skirmishes.
Again, that was something I really want to see out of this Team WE roster, is making sure they have comfort, but as well as things that will be that proactive style for them, that aggressive style we want to see them taking early on. That didn't work out for them last time. That LNG kind of ran away with in their own style, but the Jace, similar ban from game number 1 by LNG in the second phase. It's actually the Akali this time banned away by Team WE in their last ban.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, this probably sets up for something like a Syndra pick, right? Just kind of going, hey, look, we're going to take the strong lane bully, still has a good bit of range, nothing that can really go against it, and can work really well in like getting these long range stuns or at least zoning off Light in these fights as well. So could be the option here, as the Gwen is going to be banned away from LNG, just not wanting to give that opportunity for the strong blind pick in the top, but I still think WE, you lead the counter pick for BiuBiu.
Yep, and I would love to actually get to see this if they take the Ryze away from Doinb, and there you go. So a little bit of thieves on either side of the rift this time around, it feels.
Yeah, I mean, this time around, though, I mean, a lot more difficult for LNG to follow, right? You don't have that same kind of option here because the Twisted Fate is off the board unless you go for something like the Galio. It looks like LNG are going to go towards and take that alongside the Camille as well.
It's the power of circles.
Look, there's an old friend of mine that used to call these big circle comps, and I love them because they're very easy to operate, they're very easy to understand, they're just all about those big zone controls, and you've got great engage here with Ala and Doinb on the Galio, right? We need to play 1-3-1, great team fight setup, makes it really hard as well when you can like just lock someone down. So it looks like on WE's side, they're like, right, not great into the Camille matchup, the Gragas. You'll give her kind of a bit of a free lane for scaling, but certainly when you look towards team fights, this Gragas is going to be needed to buy space for the backline. Like, if someone gets locked up by this Camille, toss an explosive cask in there, get Shing out, leave the lantern there so you can try and survive. So for WE, a lot of kite back here on this composition, trying to buy space when they are looking at team fights, whereas you look at LNG, opportunities to play 1-3-1, played through a strong team fight as well, and a ton of scaling coming through from the Jinx and the Camille.
Yeah, and again, another draft from LNG that's very defined in the way they want to play and very clear in what they're doing from minute 1, it feels like. And on the other side, I have to give Team WE props. It feels like they're shoring up some of those things we wanted to see, right? Getting some of that engage, getting the peel there, but still having the damage profile you need, still having the possibility to answer those side lane pushes with the Ryze, with Shanks actually having a damage dealer right now as instead of more that utility pick in the TF.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate for WE that they still lose out in the mid jungle, right? Zhao and Galio insanely strong, especially when you hit 6, right? Like the ability to get the knock up with the Zhao to set up for the Galio with the heroic entrance, it's just obscene. And also the ability to play towards the top side of the map is just nuts post 6 as well. So it really does feel for WE like they're going to be on the back foot once more, and that really does feel like it's LNG's company.
Oh, here we go. Team WE still striving to try to get their first series win of the spring split. LNG looking to continue to go undefeated with a quick 2-0 of Team WE. Team WE backs against the wall here as we go into game number 2 of the night. It's LNG taking on Team WE.
And I'm excited to see if LNG can run it back, right? Last game, they did a great job of finding these quick picks that set them up for nice skirmishes that then continued on into a pretty snowbally victory. And it feels like LNG once more have the ability to do so, right? Predator on towards Doinb with this Galio. He can roam towards sides early and set it all up. You've got Ale who can work with Tarzan, Doinb who can work with Tarzan and play through skirmishes towards Rift Herald. Insanely strong top half of the map for LNG. Whereas for WE, right, like, where's your real pressure point? BiuBiu, you don't really want to play towards them. Shanks can roam, but in these early stages, but trying to get down and set up with Xing and Kedaya is going to be pretty tough against Light and LvMao, especially with the cleanse and the ability to just speed on up anyone who's lagging a little bit behind from LvMao.
Yeah, so again, we get a lot of the similar things we got in game number 1, right? The vision game early, trying to feel each other out a little bit, but the spotlight still always goes back to the Tarzan versus View matchup and where we see that early invade, where we see that early aggression that we got so much of, it felt like in game number 1. And we'll see how that works out as they are both pathing opposite ways yet again for this second game.
Like, LvMao should be able to get this shove in, especially since they know, right, View moving up towards the top side. Oh, nice hook from Kedaya just to get a little bit of early damage down, but the double range matchup here against the semi-melee, semi-ranged amalgamation that Thresh exists as will mean that LNG have shoved bot. So you can see here Tarzan, like, again, pathing from top to bot, should be able to get the Scuttle Crab for himself, and maybe look to see if he can make some funny business happen on this bot side. But imagine you just ward on this bot side, reset, and we'll have to see exactly what way both these junglers decide to path post their first reset.
And can I also just say, just seeing Kedaya on the Thresh landing the first hook, right, that just feels good for him, being able to have that kind of presence in the lane, being able to have that presence in the team fights especially. We'll see how that works out for him as the game goes on, but the feelings are good right now, at least for Team WE, and the way they've set themselves up for game number 2.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to hear the right, but again, it's just hard to see where they try and have that inlet. Shanks is going to be the person that I'm keeping my eyes on, because although you have the stronger mid jungle for LNG, if you can force Doinb to stay in lane, that's where it's going to be the easiest to go for. But with double TPs for both solo laners and LNG, trying to look for dives early is going to be pretty difficult. And even you can see Shanks, right, burning through his mana as he shoves this in. He's not really going to be able to do too much before he resets.
You spotted out by the ward, will not be able to go for that early game. So it's going to turn to that Scuttle Crab. Find a very aggressive Tarzan here. Oh, wait! He just goes for the fight. The flashes are coming out aplenty here, but View gets away.
Yeah, but really nice bathing from Tarzan, right? Like, trying to see if he can catch him out. Now you get Ala just going for a bit of a aggressive trade with BiuBiu, also burn his flash. So honestly, I think you're kind of okay here. Flash burnt on towards View. 2 for 1 on some of the spells is not great, but Tarzan will be able to move back down towards the bot side and keep himself in good shape.
And Tarzan really wanted that Scuttle Crab. Like the whole narrative is like, oh, no, we don't need to fight over Scuttle Crabs. So Tarzan's like, nah, this is my jungle. I'm going for it. Didn't get it though. So View getting winning out in the end, at least early in the jungle fighting.
And again, now you get the quicker reset coming through from View, right? He's back. He's moving over down to the spot side of the map. Because Tarzan roamed back up, he's a little bit slow when it's clear, right? Move top, now rotating back bot, which gives you a bit of a time here to see if you can make some funny business happen. Shanks even moving from this mid lane. You can see the cogs working for WE and trying to set up this bot side of the map, but LvMao and Light just playing safe for the moment.
Yeah, the reset came out from LNG. Nothing going to go over, but we do still see that aggressive warding from Team WE. Shanks trying to get a little bit of that warding deeper into the red side of LNG's jungle. But as we do get to see Tarzan redeploying onto the Rift, we'll see maybe we get a little bit more of that focus towards mid lane, Dagda.
Yeah, it feels like you're kind of just playing defensive here for WE for the moment. I don't really see an opportunity for either side to make do of the dragon that's just spawned, right? Like, you don't really have full push for Xing and Kedaya. Light and LvMao just happy to farm up and play towards late. It really feels like we're waiting for the Rift Herald to spawn before we really have LNG. We'll have priority over that, the advantage in a topside skirmish to try and use that to shove in.
The Kedaya and View on the move here. There is a solo light down towards bot lane and a lot of vision in this red side jungle here for Team WE. LvMao and Tarzan getting spotted out here, playing on the ward, not knowing it's there, and LvMao stepping up, but that's 3 members strong here. Here comes the heroic entrance, though, to get the triple knockup. LvMao gets out with a flash, and LNG, they just turned it around. How does this happen? View died.
I actually am so shocked that LvMao managed to get out of there. Like, really nice ultimate coming through from Doinb, but again, just not enough damage, not enough position on WE to follow that up, and unfortunately, they're still trying to go against this early game Zhao, which is just doing so much more than Viego. Ends up costing them there, and the kill goes the way of Doinb, which should help him get a bit more control in this mid lane, but we're watching the replay here, right? I actually thought they were going to go opposite ways around. Tarzan tanks the hook, right? But you can see here, right? LvMao gets it. Bone plating doing a ton of work, right? Absorbing a lot of the initial damage from View. And then you just get the follow-up coming through. And unfortunately with Shanks only barely making it to that fight at the end, you just can't take down LvMao before it all goes sideways.
And Kedaya birded the ignite onto LvMao at the last second, just like, I know I can get him. Oh no, it's a Lulu. You have the healing and shielding. And what a turnaround for LNG. Team WE were setting that up for a long while. Not able to turn it around, but here we go. This is Team WE's chance here as they do find Tarzan in his blue side jungle and take it down to respond in kills.
Nice from WE there. Doinb took a horrific trade in the mid lane right before he went for that blue buff. And just not good understanding from WE to go, hey, we can actually go and invade on this, right? Doinb doesn't have the health bar. He's got a skedaddle. So nice job both from Shanks on the initial trade, but also on WE to follow up on that and get this top lane.
Wait, what? Doinb flashing over the wall there, getting some damage on the View. And View has overstayed his welcome in LNG's jungle. The Mega Death Rocket tried to get the snipe. It was very close, but he went down too early.
I'm surprised that worked. Doinb just going, all right, look, screw the mid lane. We got Ala who can come across after he clears out that wave top, and they managed to get a pick back for themselves. So nicely done. It was tip for tap so far, but LNG, they're keeping just a smidgen of a gold lead right now. But we'll have to see if they can keep that up as we get the pro view here. Doinb, yeah, it was just like, hey, we've got vision. We know the fuse on this buff. And look at Ala, right? He's already pushed out that top wave and sets up beautifully for Doinb.
Just all planned, all calculated. No big deal. Super carry Doinb doing some work on the mid lane carry himself. It is the Rift Herald being spawned or taken down by Team WE here, and no real response for LNG, so at least the neutral objective going the way of View.
Yeah, quicker resets coming through from WE. Some of them forced in View's case, but with the push that Tarzan and Doinb tried to have in mid, it meant that they were late on the reset. You get WE going for that. It means that I imagine LNG would just turn down over towards this dragon as they spot BiuBiu now on this bot side, so they know, hey, look, we have the numbers advantage on bot, but might be worried about View just running straight up towards the top lane and plonking down that rift.
Okay, Tarzan on the first dragon of the game. A little bit different than last game where we had like the perfect timing for dragons up until the 20-minute mark, but first dragon going down about 9 minutes. See another objective going down, and this time in favor of LNG, but this is the play for Team WE. Everybody's coming up here for the party except for BiuBiu. See if Ala and LvMao can survive, or at least try to defend this with Doinb coming in. There's the engage from Ala, but we do have the heroic entrance available as the pullback for Doinb. Moonlight Vigil makes it not matter.
I don't know why Ala's going aggressive there, right? Like, the whole point of this play is just to stop the push, but they clear the wave, then Ala goes down, and now you're 2 people strong on this top side against 4 of WE. Looks like you're going to end up losing your bot side jungle here for View because you stayed so long, but you'll take that trade, especially with all this gold going into the hands of Shin.
That is huge. All of the plates going down. The Rift Herald getting first tower for Team WE. Smelling like a resurgence here right now for the squad. And that's kind of what you want to see, right? We've dictated that It is skirmishing early for Team WE, aggressive jungle pathing, finding those early advantages in snowballing. And yes, you've not gotten a big snowball, but you're able to find those advantages that you're looking for.
I thought here, like, Ala maybe tries to, like, lock up the Viego under tower, right? Ult the Viego, Galio follows in, you gotta disperse his W and you get a quick hit, right? You shut down that play, but I don't know, it looked like Ala just kind of going in willy-nilly, wasn't really trying to lock anyone down, and it ends up costing quite a bit. And as you say, right, that's the first time we've seen WE kind of take a meaningful gold lead here with 1,000 gold. They're back on this bottom side, which means you don't really have the ability for LNG to trade, especially against Gragas, right? Gragas does wonderfully underneath this tower, so he's going to be totally fine. So we got to see what the plan here now is for LNG. They still, in theory, will have the scaling when it comes towards the side lanes, but if WE are able to get control over, hey, we got top tower, let's see if we can make some plays now towards the bot side, get that bot lane tower down, it becomes a lot more difficult for LNG to operate with their composition.
Yeah, and a little night and day for game number 1. I mean, we are like already halfway over time of what the halfway point was in game number 1, and I can appreciate the fact that LNG, you know, drafting a little bit different, they weren't able to find the same kind of stranglehold over Team WE that they did in game number 1. And that attests to Team WE's strength in their own right, and being able to combat some of that flame that LNG is putting out today.
WE now rotating mid though, and a ton of members here just trying to see if they can use the fact that they've got that bot lane push to their advantage and get some vision control. No real dragon for 2.5 minutes, but this will definitely deny LNG access to this part of the map, which should help Shanks start to look for rotations, and clearing that vision means that you have to be so respectful as light on this bottom side of the map.
And we see there Viu and Team WE playing very aggressive. The Divine Sunder had been completed for Viu, so being able to play off of that mythic item power spike, try to get some plays going down for themselves, those are the kinds of things we need to see working for Team WE. You already said the brains are working, the strategies are unfolding, but these are the kinds of things you need to see consistently from the team.
And I think for LNG, if you're going to be like hard pushed on the spot side, I think you all in on Ala. Ala is your big win condition in this game. I'd love to see Tarzan just kind of go, right, look, very sorry for you, Light. You're going to lose your bot lane turret. But
you already got one
MVP. Yeah, but if we can get Light, if we can get Ala ahead in this top side, that's where maybe we can get some plates back for him, try and get some victories there, because once you get to like 2 items here is this.
Tarzan just walked right in there, but the heroic entrance plus the pressing guard dissuades Team WE out of it. The flashes are starting to come out, and Tarzan's over the wall here on the Shanks. There's the Mega Death Rocket from Light. He's finally getting involved, and it's looking mighty fine. Doinb having popped the Predator. He's trying to get the taunt. He's trying to get the damage. The Winds of War go out, and a lot of poke put on the Team WE.
It does give LNG now the opportunity to get control over this bot side, get these plates for Light. Ala already TP'd down as well, and now not really any position here for WE to defend this. Viu is on the way, which might help a little bit, but not going to lose out too much as Dragon 40 seconds away. LNG can look for the reset and look to try and fight this once more.
I was just about to say the priority on second dragons would be very interesting to keep an eye on with both junglers coming back down towards this bot side, but the replay will unveil a lot of what we didn't see.
Yeah, I mean, Tarzan just trying to go for Scuttle, doesn't realize how many members of WE are here. Doinb does a good job again of kind of protecting Tarzan. This is the mid jungle that we're talking about. It's really difficult to try and deal with because you've got the invulnerability coming through from the Jinx out, then the follow-up coming through from Doinb, and WE are just unpacking so quickly. But I like the ideas from WE to try and find these picks. It's just you've got to be so careful about who's actually around, because you can see how quickly LNG can collapse in those situations.
Moving in onto the dragon will be their first dragon of the game, with no response to come through from LNG on this one, but we do finally have our mythics completed pretty much across the board. As Doinb takes the top tower, just trading objectives across the map here for both teams. And we get the Chem Fog.
Yeah, it's going to be the Chemtech Dragon coming up. Very strong soul that both teams are going to want to try and fight for. Ala moving down onto the spot side. A lot of members from WE here. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see WE try and make a play onto the spot side of the map. You know that Rift Tower is going to be going over towards LNG just with them disappearing. So may try and look for something, but Doinb always rightfully in his place, making sure that he's going to be down here to make sure that if any funny business happens, he's there to follow up. So kind of dissuading the play away from them.
And I feel like this is a pretty big test for LNG, right? They weren't able to get that big snowball they typically like to try to get. They weren't able to find those huge early aggression plays, the side lane plays that are consistent. They haven't been able to do that. And so this feels like it's testing them a little bit more to see what extent they can play a game out without having that early lead, without having to be able to rely on their early game prowess.
Again, though, we're kind of seeing the issues with, well, not issues, I don't want to say, but like the style of WE coming in. They're moving as this 4-man group, as you can see on your screen right now. But it means that, hey, look, Doinb, he's up topside now. He's going to be able to shove in that wave, cause a bit of a pressure point for WE. You look at the bot side, LNG, they've got Ala there as well, where BiuBiu should be able to match, at least for the moment. But it means that you've always kind of got WE playing keep up rather than trying to play proactive. And it should give LNG the opportunities to like get a little bit of chip damage on turrets. Like Ala here should be able to get this spot lane turret fairly soon. And BiuBiu is just kind of running to a stage where he won't be able to fully play against them.
Oh no, they are TP. BiuBiu is in trouble. He's got the Hextech ultimatum utilized onto him. The taunt they have across every sort of CC you could ever ask for. And LNG finds a kill.
And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? Doinb shoves in top, Shanks goes to answer, but Shanks doesn't have TP available. So they go for the TP play on bot side, knowing they have that lockup. Now you've got the Rift Herald, and just like that, LNG get control of these side lanes and get a massive influx of gold into them.
My goodness, and what a turnaround from LNG. Thought they might be sleeping, but they definitely have woken up at this point. And as you said, they take that lead and they continue to try to get these carries ahead. They continue to try to get these side lanes under wrap. And that is where, you know, the question begs itself, Team WE, how do you approach this? Because the 5-on-5s, you know, as you start getting to the objectives, seem more feasible for sure.
And it's now that the lack of dragons is going to hurt WE, right? Because they want to try and play for team fights. They want to try and see if they can set up with BiuBiu, being that strong front line, try and cut back, make sure it's all well and good. That's not really a case when LNG can just look to trade the next 2 dragons. I know they're Chemtech, but certainly if you are looking to trade dragons, you're getting top tower, you can potentially get that mid tower as well. And then you just lock WE in their base and they're not able to push forward. So if WE can play out the map correctly and just try and shove out waves before objective start, that's where WE can try and find these fights objectives. But they just have to make sure that they are setting up those waves nice. But it does always leave WE vulnerable to picks coming through from Doinb and out.
Yeah, and that's why you know, one of my favorite parts of the game is the team fight, but I do want to talk about the team fight potential for both these teams. We've already seen the Wombo combo being pulled off by LNG, and it looks so nice when it does get pulled off, but we haven't necessarily gotten to see the full combo of Team WE together. We haven't necessarily got to see a beautiful cask to start off the fight to separate LNG and the damage to follow through that they have. So that's where, you know, for Team WE, you're still stacking up, you're still trying to get all these bodies in, but they haven't been able to find that fight that they really feel confident in.
And I don't know if we will, honestly. I mean, look at the map state, right? This is actually LNG playing really well on the 1-3-1, which is one of the big things that I had been criticizing them for, right? Like, they're not showing on 3 lanes right now. They're giving control to Ala in the top side, and once Ala backs away, now we're getting Doinb roaming back down towards the top side. So certainly I think LNG, like, picking up the pace of the game here and making it really difficult for WE to find those moments to fight, because you've always got to be worried about Doinb being able to set himself up properly, come in, deny WE any sort of engage. And if LNG just have live free firing the whole time, right, he's not under much pressure from Kedaya. He's got the range advantage over WE, so you really do need to find these big engages WE. Now, it's dragging up. Waves, not in the best of spots for them, but they can bring BiuBiu in with this TP, especially with Ala resetting. Maybe this is the fight for WE, but no real vision or flank opportunities for BiuBiu makes it hard.
And the thing is Ala could just respond with his own, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of this side lane pressure that Ala has gotten. He's running away with the CS differential and the control of the side lane, which makes it so much easier for LNG to dissect these plays. As Doinb on the backside, Tarzan getting engaged on, has to pop the crescent guard there. Heroic entrance is available. Doinb's just waiting in the chem fog, knowing this is his moment to make that big game-changing play Team WE are moving in here. You've got the double flank now by LNG, and Team WE have put themselves into a trap, but maybe they can get themselves out of that one. The Dragon about half health here. They realize Doinb is on the side. The Dragon goes over to BiuBiu. BiuBiu's in some trouble though. He's in the middle of the pit, and now is when LNG decides to go in. There's heroic entrance in. It does get the couple knockups. The Mega Inferno rocket is gonna be there as well, but Tarzan is still just piecing away at this squad, and Team WE are flashing for the hills. Vieu is trying to make a solo bolo performance here in a 1v3. He's got the Heartbreaker. The reset's not there for him. LvMao will not get taken out. So Team WE, a bit chaotic, but they end up winning out.
Yeah, and a huge amount of that is down to Vieu, right? Getting those resets in the fight, but also stealing away that Dragon crucially as well. Really nice job from WE to actually pick up a victory there and deny LNG their continued pressure in this game.
What a fight, my goodness. And we'll get a little replay of that one, and it was chaotic. The fact that Vieu got in here, look at those numbers. Oh, man.
I like this from WE though, right? BiuBiu zoning away basically 3 members here, which means that the 4 members of WE can actually deal with this engage coming through from LNG. You've got Ala who goes down very quickly, Doinb's next to follow, and from this point on, View's in a perfect spot, right?
Yeah.
LNG have completely left the carries high and dry, and it means that light goes down, and View's able to continue firing.
That turnaround was huge. It looked a little bit doomed for LNG, but Vieu able to pull them up by their bootstraps now, having completed his second item, which is a GA, by the way. You know where his thoughts are at. But you are getting these 2 item spikes across the board for a majority of players in the game, and that's where things start to turn up a little bit, right? It's not necessarily that 3 item spike you're looking for the big power spikes, but you do get that extra little bit of aggressive feeling to both these teams.
It should also buy a bit of time for WE, right? Like, they can get themselves into a reasonably alright spot now with getting waves out. It's not like LNG, because they didn't try and trade that Dragon for pressure on sides, like they're missing a top lane turret. But Vieu going to be lanterned away, but you still hold on to a decent amount of map control, so you can still get the ability to contest Dragon.
You get a 1v1, a little bit of a wet noodle fight down in bot lane, Doinb versus BiuBiu. BiuBiu pulling the cask out there to make sure that he will not go down, but Ala is making sure that won't happen. Says you might have thrown out your ultimate, but I am going to try to catch you. I don't know. The hook shot coming up soon. The Hextech ultimatum is also available. Doinb is here. There's the ulti trigger, and BiuBiu taken out by Ala.
And unfortunately, WE didn't have control of mid, so they teeter on the idea of starting up the Baron, but decide not to, which honestly would have been their best response. But Xing doesn't have the best guns, Ryze not really in position, and it means you get that pick, and now you're on towards an inhibitor turret.
This is insane. Ala is just left here. Nobody is able to respond at this point. We finally get Shanks coming out of the base, but the inhib tower is almost taken out there. Will not go down as the response is there, but anytime you get free damage on a side tower like that, that is huge for the split push of LNG.
And that's exactly what LNG needs, right? The ability for Doinb and Ala to work together. And again, this is a much better performance on controlling the side lanes, right? And a huge amount of that is coming from Doinb. Rather than trying to have Doinb play out through one of the opposite lanes, they're actually just kind of have him shadow Ala at all points in time. So it means that he's always able to contest the push in mid, help out there if WE try to engage, but also just set up perfectly for Ala with this Hextech ultimatum as well. It's one of the big strengths of Camille and Galio. They're playing it beautifully.
They are, and it's so interesting with the seas seem to part in these team fights, and it's that tried and true Camille Galio combo, right? And it's beautifully added onto with Tarzan having a big voice, at least in the engages of the team as well, and the Crescent Guard to follow up just in case they overextend. But the thing is this has been apparent from the beginning of this game, from the draft, right? It was very clear the style LNG were going for. And for Team WE's, how can we bounce back? How can we get back into the game? We would like to see that proactivity. We want to see the early game aggression come out. And it's worked out for Vieu so far. Maybe not so much for the rest of the team. But we do got to get set up for this potential Dragon Soul point on Team WE.
And TP comes in from Shanks to make sure they can contest mid pressure and then move into river. But look at Ala. He snuck his way into that Chemtech fog. Knows he hasn't been spotted as well. And is flanked directly on towards Shin.
Both mid laners at those 3 item spikes, but the flank will be huge for Allah. He's walking out. Doinb is waiting to pull the trigger on the heroic entrance, and here you go. The fight started off by LNG. Shing flashes away beautifully, has the red white, but needs to get out of the fight because now the Moonlight Vigil follows it up, but they just don't have the damage. Tarzan goes golden in the middle of everybody. He goes down first, and now you got the resets for View, and this is where Viego comes alive. Although on the back, Allah's going ham right now. Light needs to get in there to do some damage. Can he get the free fires off? He's excited. He goes cleanse from the death sentence, and Light is starting to pop off. It's starting to look like an MVP performance from this AD carry of LNG yet again, and they wipe Team WE.
That was a gorgeous fight from LNG, and so much of it came down to Allah executing Shing in the back line when WE tried to chase that down. LNG now get the dragon. They're turning towards the Baron, and that's exactly what LNG needed to bring themselves into this game and get themselves that 3K gold.
It was a bit chaotic, but they had it in the bag. The flanks, the decision-making, the confidence from Allah there to go into that team and just obliterate Shing. LNG have turned it on right at the right time, and they get the bear.
I mean, that was so well played on both sides, honestly, to start things off, right?
Yeah.
We get WE, looks real dodgy, but Shing has that stopwatch because he's building up towards the GA, and that bought so much time that you'll see at the start of this, right? So they basically nullified the entire engage here from LNG, and it was really well orchestrated, right? Allah gets into the back line, it's perfect, but great box, great positioning on the lantern means that Shing's able to get out, and he's dealing a ton of damage. They managed to pick off Tarzan here, and LNG are running for the hills, but Light in a good position. He's been relatively untouched, but this play here, killing Shing, gets rid of so much damage on WE side. And again, once that's done, there's no one really threatening Light. He's got the cleanse for the hook, doesn't really matter, and Light's just able to carry out this fight with really strong re-engage coming through from Doinb and CC to set up this jinx.
And he's spread out so far to the left, literally nobody could touch him since Shing wasn't there with the Calibrum. And just going untouched, getting the excitement, you knew the way it was going to go after that, after you saw that first kill go down. It's beautiful stuff from LNG, but Team WE forced into a fight here. The TP is coming down from LNG. They want to continue this fight. The heroic entrance down onto 2 members here, and Allah is just going forward. How do we go from such an even game to an obliteration of Team WE by LNG? They are not taking any prisoners. They are not holding anything back, and Shanks goes down.
The shot from downtown is a shot to the heart for WE. The clean ace comes through for LNG, and honestly, they've got Baron. They've got 20-second death timers. They can look to end it this out.
We don't need the Kim Tank Dragon, LNG say, as they burst through the door of Team WE's base. They are taking down the objectives, they are taking down the structures, and it is not going to be the day that Team WE find their first series win of the LPL Spring Split. LNG will not let that be theirs, and LNG take this series by storm.
LNG looking so damn clean.